Thank you everyone so much for joining us today. I'm sure you are all having kind of a wild ride of a January, as we all are. So I just want to invite you to take a little stretch, do something that makes your body feel good, have a drink of water, open a window. I just took some extra books off my desk and I'm feeling a little more calm already. If you want to do something that kind of removes a distraction from your desk, I'll invite you to do that right now. So as you can see when you join the call, we are recording this call. The presentation will be on the member portal page, which you should all have received access to. And if you haven't, we will make sure that everybody, there was a few later signups. Marcus, can you go to the next page? Thank you. You will all have access to the member portal page. So it will be on our website. And the breakouts will not be recorded, so you don't have to worry too much about that. So before we get too far into it, we just want to make sure we acknowledge the traditional territory we are now on.
Yeah, so up until about 2 weeks ago, we would have been given, Addie and I would have been given 2 territorial acknowledgements, but now she has moved basically right around the block from me, which is amazing. And we are coming from you, we're coming to you from just outside of Victoria. So this is Langford, and which is the Lekwungen speaking territories of the Wissanic, Songhees, and Esquimalt. What can I say about today? It's very gray outside here. Both of our daycares are shut down because of COVID outbreaks. It's been a little bit of a wild week, as probably many of you are experiencing, but feeling very happy to be in a place that isn't minus 30, like when I lived in Montreal, which is currently getting that type of weather. So yeah, we're a provincial organization. Our animators are representing many different territories, but this is where Addie and myself are coming from today. So Addie and I will be leading this workshop series over the next 10 months for those of you who are committed to staying on board or coming and going throughout that time period. Myself, I am a Capital Region animator for Farm to School BC and also the team lead for the animators. I've been working in school gardens for about 12 years or so, had the pleasure of building multiple school gardens, developing curriculum. I enjoy gardening myself in my pastime. I also am very much passionate about music and things of that nature. And I've got a little 4-year-old son that I try to get out into the woods as much as I possibly can, because I believe really strongly in the value of outdoor education. I'll pass it over to Addie.
Thanks, Marcus. I am the Food Literacy Advisor for Farm to School BC, and I have been for a year and a bit now, but before I was the community animator in Kamloops. I'm an elementary school teacher and a very new, brand new teacher in SD 62. I have yet to work a shift, but I am working on Friday. And I have been market farming, gardening for a few years. And my passions really lie at that intersection of teaching people how to garden and gardening myself. So we're moving into a new house next week. I'm so excited to put a big greenhouse and, well, small greenhouse and some garden beds and get our chickens to tear up that soil. It's going to be great. So before we get too far in, we just want to tell you a little bit about Farm to School BC. We are a program that brings healthy, local, and sustainable food into the schools across British Columbia and provides students with hands-on learning opportunities that develop food literacy, all while strengthening the local food system and enhancing school and community connectedness. So you can see our 3 pillars here on the screen: healthy local food, hands-on learning, and school and community connectedness. Now, Farm to School BC has been active for 15 years now, which seems wild. We have over 300 farm to school programs that we've funded across the province, and over 20 school districts are supported by our grants. We are a program of the Public Health Association of BC and are supported by the Province of British Columbia and Provincial Health Services Authority. iBoost Immunity and Kids Boost Immunity are another couple of examples of programs that PHABC funds as well. So many of you are coming from hubs that are supported by our community animators, who are all on the call today. And we'll get into this a little bit later. So if you're wondering if you are in or outside of a hub, we'll have this screen up later for you to connect with other schools in your region and growing conditions. But here are our 8 hubs that we have right now, which is so exciting. So on our team, we have our provincial manager, myself, and the food literacy coordinator. Chelsea is on our call today. She's our communications guru. And Can You Dig It is another program that PHABC runs with Erin Topley, who will be speaking next month. Our 8 animators are Marcus Lobb, Erin Champion, Marin Courtney, Rowan Whitacase, Claudia Paez, Serena Kainer, Margot Piel, and Naomi. I'm not sure how to pronounce your last name. Maybe you can unmute yourself and just say it.
Rashid.
Thank you. Sorry, I should have practiced before.
No worries.
So that's us. We are the Farm to School BC team, and we are all on the call today, and we're so excited to get to know you in our breakout rooms a little bit later, if you don't know us already. So we are ready to launch into our school garden mentorship program. Yay, which you are all here for, and we are so excited. So please type in the chat box. What are you hoping to learn from this program?
Addie's going to read out a few as they come through there. We are wanting to really use this information as it will help to refine the program and to give us an idea of kind of get a concept of what people are coming to the table for. And so do feel take a moment to do that, just 30 seconds or so, and then we'll continue. Creating a sustainable garden.
This is my job, Marcus.
Okay, I thought you were going to be doing it.
Making school gardens engaging for sure. How to create sustainable programming. Yes, not having everything crash and burn when people leave. Indigenous planting, yes. Best practices, how to get more teachers, creating a garden, awesome. Classrooms in a non-chaotic way. Well, we will try our best, but when you do anything with 30 little bodies, things are always going to be a little chaotic. A community of educators, for sure. Awesome. Indigenous foodscapes. Where to start? Yay! That's what we are talking about today.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. You can keep writing those in the chat, but we are going to move on to give you more information about our program. Thanks for sharing.
Okay, so we wanted to just do, since this is the very first one and we see that a good chunk of you have actually signed up to participate in the program as a whole, we wanted to take a moment to just discuss the program as a whole. And for this first one, we are starting with a focus on garden culture and the importance of a committed school garden committee. But this will not be the only time we discuss this topic. That concept around school garden culture and the importance of committed and strong committee that's within the staff is going to be revisited throughout the program. And this is just the introduction. And we're approaching it, although the program is open to any stage that you're at with a garden, developing your garden, we're kind of approaching it a little bit like this is a first time for people, or they're coming to a school garden with a little bit of a green thumb, or rather not a green thumb, but coming in fresh. And so we wanted to just focus on the ability to move through the school year within each workshop, recognizing that the committee and the culture always is going to be fostered. So that's just something we just want to make sure that is clear for this. And so today it is a focus on the establishing of the school garden culture. So just to make sure everybody knows that the program does run until October, we are planning to put a couple summer sessions in July and August, which will be mostly around just support of a garden during summer months. And so we will update those pretty soon. All of the workshops do land on Tuesdays. They will always start at 3:15 and they will end at 4:30. As I was saying before, you can come and go with these sessions. Perhaps you feel very strong in certain topics and weaker in some. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to sign up and pick and choose if you'd like, but we have designed it to go from one to another. And so, yeah, you can go and register for those right now if you'd like to. So we just wanted to give a further overview of the workshop series. Addie's also going to pull up the link to the worksheet, I think maybe on the next slide or on this slide, just in case you didn't catch that in your email. But each workshop is made up of these components. It's an educational presentation by Farm to School BC staff. We will always have breakout rooms in each one, sometimes multiple breakout rooms. And so the purpose of that is to get to know other teachers or community partners within your region, to have a chance to bounce ideas off of each other, and also get to know your animators that are supporting your region if you fall within a hub. We are creating project planning worksheets that we'll get into in a bit, but they are to help you support your work when you go back to your school. We have a profile, we're gonna have profiles of inspiring school garden projects, activities that you can do with your class in the garden, and we will be having guest speakers. So following each presentation, the videos will be recorded. These presentations will be recorded and available along with our PowerPoint presentation for you to visit in the portal. And we will get into that in a bit. You are welcome to share these presentations and use some of this content with your own committees if you'd like. And we plan to load all of that information up within about 48 hours following each of these workshops. So we just wanted to pause for a moment, and this is just the link here. And so that was sent out in the email, is in, I believe, in the chat box now. I can't quite see what's happening there, along with the password. Could be good for you to have this with you during this workshop, but isn't absolutely necessary. We will be referencing it as we move through. The worksheet really is something that you can take away from here and use in your own work at the school level. So who is the target audience? This program is open to the public, but really the focus, the way that we are aiming this, the goals of this program is to affect K-12 teachers, CAAs, admin. So school staff is really our main audience. And so a lot of the language and a lot of the ways we talk about how to build culture, how to work with others, is always kind of thinking about it from the school outwards. Kind of like the school is the starting point and we're moving outwards, both to other staff within the school, students, and then community. So we really are looking to support staff at the school level and tending to their garden and increasing student engagement. I'll pass it over to Addie.
So this 10-month program is going to guide you through a whole year in the school garden. So this initially was going to be a 3-month program, and then we realized that we want to be with you the whole time. Well, as much as you want to be with us, I suppose. So from planning your garden and your committee to seeding to harvesting, we don't want you to do it all by yourself. So we came up with this program, and this year we're really just piloting it. So we're hoping to get lots of feedback from everyone throughout the session and we are going to be giving you the tools, the skills, and the resources to teach you how to build this whole community of school garden champions. So we are going to train you, and you are going to bring this knowledge back to your colleagues. So again, you are going to be getting all of our PowerPoints and worksheets to use and adapt for your own needs. And when we started coming up with this idea, we realized that it was kind of like a ripple in the pond. So you are the beautiful pebbles that are coming and hitting the pond. And you are going to be taking this knowledge and this passion and this energy and these tools back to your colleagues. And you are going to be supporting your students to be on the land and inspiring this community. We want to move away from champion teachers who are doing it all by themselves to create sustainable long-term school gardens. So as we get into the program, again, you are going to be getting the tools, the resources, and the skills that we outlined a little bit here from this program. So in terms of colleagues, These are going to be other passionate colleagues that are going to be part of your garden committee. You're going to learn about facilitation tools and worksheets and get support to chair the committee, or if you don't like chairing, how to delegate it to somebody else. And with your students, you are going to hear about all sorts of activities, because I love classroom activities, how to do gardening with your class, how to establish those garden care routines, maybe build some infrastructure, get your ADST checked off, and again, doing fundraisers. I saw one comment about how do we stop writing grants for all the things. You can be doing fundraising in your garden and doing some math and financial literacy activities at the same time. It's wonderful. And then in terms of the land, you are going to be learning gardening ideas and get lots of gardening resources. We have a very exciting ones that are going to be coming out in March that are going to be specific resources on how to garden with the 30 little humans that you are responsible for. And in community, again, things don't work super well if you are this isolated little island doing everything by yourself and trying to teach on top of everything else. So let's build it into your workflow. Let's connect you to other educators across the province. So we have a listserv that we already have 45 people in, which is wonderful. You're going to be getting to know our community animators and Marcus and I and the staff, and learning from different community groups across the province. So thank you, everyone. You have all heard from each other and heard some inspirations. And if you are anything like me, you are so pumped up right now and just want to break into your school and dig up the field and get your, okay, maybe not your irrigation systems quite yet. It's a little cold, but start figuring out where you're going to plant everything. And please don't start doing that, because you are going to design a system that is not going to work as well as it possibly could. So what we are going to convince you today is to not do it all by yourself. Marcus, slide please. Thank you. To not do it all by yourself, but instead start with your committee, which we are going to talk about today. Then with your committee, set your goals, and then go and get outside support, and then build your garden, because we don't want it to be all about you or all about one champion, because that is designed to fail and burn out, and we don't need any more of that these days. So I'm going to throw one quote at you that is blowing my mind these days. If any of you listen to Brene Brown podcasts, most of them blow my mind, but this one is sticking with me. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. So design a good system. You can have all the goals in the world, but if your system doesn't support it, that is where you are going to be limited by. So let's, first things first, get your school garden committee, get your system in place. That's all. You can go to the next slide, Marcus.
Is it showing up? Because I moved over to the next slide.
Yeah, you can go to the next one.
Oh, the next one, sorry.
Just my introduction. Now it's over to you on how to form one.
Okay, great. Forming a garden committee. So assuming you don't have one, or maybe there was one and you're trying to kickstart it, we just wanted to give just a few tips around how to do that and what the purpose is. So a garden committee is really designed to help make decisions about how a school garden will look, what it will be used for, and how it will operate. The committee may start as primarily a planning body, but it can morph into an operational committee, or it may simply offer direction for a garden coordinator. So even though we were speaking a lot about how don't try to take it all on yourselves, sometimes that can be difficult to get others to really pick up. And it might require getting moving a little bit down the road before others will really try to get on board. It's not advised, but that can be how we're working. But really, we want to move into this perspective that there's shared tasks and shared responsibilities. So, so who should be on the garden committee? So the worksheet that we've shared with you, there is a section in there, Planning the School Garden Committee, that you can reference and that can be useful for you to take back or make notes on. So why are these people important? Obviously, teaching staff are important because they're engaging with students. School administration, it's great to have them aware of what's happening in a school garden. And they're great for also being able to communicate out to the community. When we think of higher school administration, we'll get into this in the next workshop, but what are the policies and barriers around putting in school gardens? Strong PACs often can also be financially supporting school gardens, and some of the strongest projects that I've seen have consistent kind of core funding coming from PACs. So it's great to be able to get them on board and supportive. Obviously, parents and guardians can be useful for maintenance. School or community organizations are great for helping come in, provide interesting resources or educational opportunities. Students are great to have on board too. Helping them have input in the design or what plants are going to be planted is a great way for them to feel more connected to their school. And I've seen personally a lot of examples of kids becoming a lot more excited about their school due to their garden and their influence that they can have on it. So it's really encouraging autonomy and ownership, I guess, in a way for the school. So having gardeners involved, yes, that's often very good too, but it's not the most important thing. It really isn't. A lot of what's special about school gardens is taking risks, experimenting, and just having fun. So hosting your first school garden committee. So again, this is on the worksheet, so I won't go too much into it, but just a couple tips on preparing for your first meeting. Most of you probably have hosted lots of meetings, but just important just to get the high level information out using doodle polls. If you haven't used it, it's a really great way to find shared times. Book a time and a space, send out an agenda in advance with goals of the meeting, and bring snacks. Just a little something we pulled from a recent workshop. The idea of an engaging meeting is a combination of content plus structure plus facilitation equals this picture was supposed to be like total freedom or bliss. So yeah, these are important, and really the facilitator is going to be the one that's influencing how these connect and equal an engaging and enjoyable workshop meeting, pardon me. Another tip we got from a recent workshop that we attended, our staff, was in and about proposing discussion versus decision. So to keep meetings on course, it can be important to determine when the goal is of what the goal is of different agenda items. So is the purpose to introduce an idea or simply get a feel for the room? Or is the goal of the item on the agenda to come to a decision? So establishing a table such as this might help with staying on course and also gathering minutes. It's important to send out these details in advance, especially if you have any resources or things for those to read before entering in, if you want to actually lead to a fruitful discussion. So front loading, I often hear my partner teacher say. So yeah, engaging meeting facilitation tips. So just a few extra ones: send out meeting reminders in advance, start and finish meetings always on time, ensure everyone's voice is heard, and check in, asking, do we feel like this is a commonality, or are we in agreement with this? Lots of people can be very quiet and others can have very loud voices, and sometimes the loud voices will really direct the garden in a certain direction that maybe isn't what the whole school needs or where you want to be going. Develop reasonable next steps and action items and assign quick meeting recap at the end of every meeting. When is the next meeting? And try to always send out minutes within 48 hours. So I'll pass it over to Addie to talk about worksheet and meeting agenda number 1.
So in the worksheet on our member portal, our very fancy password protected page, if you go check it out, we have a sample agenda for your first meeting for your school garden committee. So you've got everybody at the table, you've got everybody all hyped up. What are you going to do when you're all sitting around the table together? You are all very competent humans that are dealing with teaching lots of children, lots of very important information, but facilitation can be a bit of a tricky thing. And here are some tips. So one is a self-assessment. So once everybody is there, why don't we get everybody to share? Again, they can do this individually, or you can kind of do a facilitated discussion. What are people interested in and what do they want to contribute? So what I have seen a lot in gardens, if somebody is really excited about the garden and they get everything going, but really they just wanted to write the grant. They didn't necessarily want to continue gardening. And maybe you'll find that different people have different skill sets. Maybe somebody is really wanting to grow plants for dyeing. That would be so cool. But if you don't ask them the questions, you're not going to get that information. So part of that inspiration and vision is getting everyone to share their vision for the garden and asking questions, sitting and listening, not just hearing, but we want to hear everybody. And collecting those visions in a visual way, everybody's ideas, collect their ideas in a way that everyone else can see it and facilitate the discussion to answer some of the questions that are on the sheet. So I'll go over a little bit more about how to do this in a minute. So when you think about what goals do you want to have for the garden? So you've got your committee established, you've got snacks for everybody, we're all figuring out how we're going to communicate. There are totally different ways to use your garden. You don't just have to have raised rectangular beds out in the middle of your schoolyard. I'll send you the password, Brendan. It's in the, okay, thank you. Out in the field. So if you're going to have a look at these 3 pictures of gardens, and in the chat box, Marcus, over to you. Thank you. Oh no, it didn't export properly. Okay, so the picture 1 and picture 2 is in the middle and picture 3. So pick one, pick a couple. What do you see in these school gardens? These are all school gardens. How do you see the spaces being used here? Just write in the chat box. Yeah, exploration, production, pollinators, farming, gathering. Yes, Megan's, yours is number 3. So in the first picture, we see pollinators. So lots of you have already mentioned why we need pollinators. They are very good for our food as well, but they are wonderful for all sorts of different reasons. One of our animators is like a world-renowned or provincial renowned pollinator expert. So I'll get her to talk about it at some point. Number 2 is kind of more focused on production. So there are these little farm kits growing salad greens for the school salad bar. And number 3, they're not even necessarily in the raised beds, but they're exploring curriculum ideas in the garden space. So think outside the box. If people have different visions, welcome those visions. Be open-minded. For sure, we are working with these core competencies, working together, doing social emotional learning, playing. You can do every single subject in your school garden, which is why I love this curriculum. And it's so fun being a teacher right now. So we have a fabulous quote from Megan Zenny next, who is the classroom gardener. If you haven't heard of her, visit this website. It's wonderful. She's also going to be speaking at our next workshop on February 15th. So school gardens are about so much more than the food they produce. Children's gardens should be designed in playful ways that invite children to feel welcome and included. It doesn't have to be about the food. It's just so liberating that you don't have to focus on how many pounds of kale and tomatoes you're producing. That's not what it's about. It's about the children. So let's design the space for them. So school garden purposes can have so many different ways. So when you're facilitating your meetings, be encouraging different ways to think about the gardens. Again, it doesn't just have to be raised beds. So you can be growing indigenous plants for pollinators, art supplies, garden boxes, seed saving. You can be doing cooking classes. A farmer could run your garden and you just run your classes out there when you schedule a class with the farmer. It could be about a salad bar. You could have a greenhouse. If you could be doing microgreens and doing things inside, you can be all sorts of different things. Thank you, Naomi, for sharing the link. Sorry, I should not look at the chat while I'm chit-chatting. So again, your imagination is the limit. So when you are running these meetings or you've delegated it to somebody because you're an awesome delegator, be open-minded. You can use a school garden in so many different ways. So when you are facilitating, again, you want to be thinking about how can we invite people to use the garden space in different ways? There can be multiple goals and figure out where you want to start. You don't need to dream big and start small is a great, is something that we say a lot to school gardens. There can be multiple ways, be open-minded. And one really good way, if you could go to the next slide, Marcus, there's a nice visual of it here, is a dotmocracy. So if you haven't tried this before, it's a really great way to get everyone to share their ideas, one idea per post-it, stick them all over the walls of the room, and people can go and vote on their ideas and just add, you know, garage sale dots right on the actual post-its. But then you can see, actually, a lot of people really want to have chickens in our garden. And that wasn't even part of your original farm to school grant or your original idea. But when you gathered all that passion and interest in the room, you found that, okay, we're going to have chickens and we're going to start with a couple of pollinator beds, because that's something that we can really start with. And again, you want to summarize the ideas, share them back, and make sure that everyone's ideas were represented and heard, because nobody wants to go to a meeting where they feel shut out and excluded.
And just to point out as well, Addie, that this slide here links to the worksheet in meeting number 2.